Hello, and welcome back once again to Patrick Replies, the show on the second channel where I, Patrick, reply to your comments and questions about the latest video, and today we're finally talking about the big one, the Speed Racer episode, our most successful episode of the year so far. I mean, we'll see how the Bond video does, because that's doing pretty well right now. But yeah, Speed Racer, unlike the movie, a big hit. And so I don't have any housekeeping to do right up front. I'm shooting this 2 days after I did the last one of these, trying to catch up. And so let's just dive right on in to the comments pulled from the YouTube comments section by Elliot Gammons. So let's see what he picked. Oh, actually, this isn't really housekeeping, but get yourself a good Train Movies mug from the merch store. Tastes even better because I'm thinking about train movies while drinking from it. First up, from Bear v. Shark, a fight I would like to see, says, I can't imagine how exhausting it is for the Wachowskis to constantly have to wait 10 years for the world to catch up to them. Yeah, they're always ahead of the curve. What I will say is, with The Matrix, that was the one time where the Wachowskis were ahead of the curve, but the audience was ready to meet them there, and they received it, and then The Matrix allowed them to make so many big crazy things for years. So even if the audience was only ready one time, that one time mattered a lot. But I don't know. We'll see. I believe that there will be a point in time again where the Wachowskis do actually make a movie that is not divisive, that is actually, just a big hit that everybody likes. And that would be great. But that said, I tend to like the divisive ones, so, I just want them to keep on doing what they're doing. Dr. Forrester says, hi on my I regret not seeing this in theater movies. Look, obviously not a lot of people saw this in theaters back in 2008, but I will say, if you live in cities like New York or LA, you get a lot of opportunities to see it in a theater, such as I literally saw Speed Racer in a theater yesterday. The Roxy Cinema here in New York was playing Speed Racer on 35mm, which is not how it was shot, all week. I saw it there yesterday, met some very nice viewers of this channel there, and yeah, it was like a packed crowd at 4:30 in the afternoon on a Friday. It was awesome. And so yeah, if you haven't seen Speed Racer in a theater, just live in a major city with a lot of repertory movie theaters and you'll be able to. So yeah, Sir Smoldham says, Speed Racer was a visual orgasm, but I have to mention a special way the film was advertised in LA. If you took the subway from Hollywood to the Valley, there was a moment as the train was rushing through the mountain, you could look out the window and be treated with a light display advertising the film. Similar to these zebras running alongside the track. It was like magic. It certainly sold me. So if that was advertised on the LA subway, I'm guessing maybe 15 people or so saw it, which seems like a big waste of money. So, man, the LA subway, am I right? Cosmic Toaster says, one of my favorite little details in this movie is after the final lap and the car stops on the finish line, the camera holds on the wheel. You can see the tire actually melting and dripping onto the ground from how hard he drove, and the car takes a moment before the suspension collapses as if the car itself is sitting down after an exhausting day of work. Yes, I love that detail so much. Just the moment of stillness with the melting tire. It's one of those things where when I rewatched the movie, and I think I took 6 pages of notes on it, there's a lot there. And I definitely made a note of tire melting, awesome, and just couldn't really find a way to mention it in the video, but I also really love it. It's so cool. Okay, NZ Lion, New Zealand Lion, says, every few years I rewatch Speed Racer and Josie and the Pussycats back to back. The tone and the portrayals of the villains make them feel like a shared cinematic universe. Yeah, the 2000s, a real time for movies that used IP in really interesting ways to make really smart, cool movies that the audience wasn't ready for and neither were critics, and they dismissed them, and now, many years later, people have come around and rediscovered them. But yeah, Josie and the Pussycats, also a really cool movie that is way better than you would ever think it should be. Dark Link says, you have no idea how much this means to me. Speed Racer is my favorite movie of all time. It's the movie that made me want to make movies and what keeps me going and working to achieve that dream. I remember loving it as a kid and rediscovering, thanks to you, when I was in high school. I have believed for years that there isn't a single movie quite like it. It is both insanely psychedelic and lovingly earnest, and at a time when most things, both personal and global, seem very uncertain, I really needed this reminder that this is kind of what it's all about. Thank you, Patrick, from the bottom of my heart. Well, this is just a really, really nice comment. Dark Link, thank you so much. I share your love of Speed Racer, obviously, and this is just lovely. I'm so glad that you enjoyed the video, and I love that you love the movie. Yeah, this is just great. So far, a very nice comment section. Expo says, when you made the car analogy, you don't start in 5th gear, you start in, like, 2nd. I was thinking, that's not how cars work. Starting in 5th would be much slower. That's why there are gears. It hit me when you covered the climax of the movie where Speed starts the Mach 6 in 5th gear. Bravo, well done. Yeah, we know what we're doing here. Because look, I don't know anything about cars. I've never owned a car, which I've talked about on here before. I can drive. I have a license. There's just no reason for me to own a car here in New York. But also I originally learned to drive stick. My parents were very insistent when I was a teenager. They were like, you got to learn to drive a standard transmission. And so I learned that way, but then they got an automatic car, and I have not driven a standard transmission since I was a teenager, and I probably would not be able to do it now. But what I'm getting at is I know so little about the gears on a car like that and how it works. But what I do know is stuff they say in Speed Racer. And so I can quote that. And weirdly, a more useful skill in my life. Daxon Fisher says, I don't ever comment on YouTube videos, but the line, the 9th best Batman is the best for academic study, is a line so cold that it will forever be etched in my brain for how good it is. Cheers. Well, thank you so much, Daxon. I will say, it does sound like I'm dissing Batman Forever, but I like Batman Forever. Like, obviously, I loved it when I was, like, in 2nd grade, and so I have a lot of nostalgia for it. But wow, this is a big week for me just watching rep screenings of movies. I went to see Batman Forever in a theater here in New York at Nighthawk by Prospect Park last Sunday, so like just 5 days ago. It was the first time I'd seen it in a theater since 1995, and I'm sitting there watching it being like, I think most of this movie works. I think this is good. It has big problems and things that hold it back from being really good, but I think it's good. And now I'm thinking about the 9th best Batman movie, and I'm like, do I rank it there? I rank Batman Forever over Dark Knight Rises. I think the other two Nolans are ahead of it, and then also like Mask of the Phantasm, Lego Batman, 1966. I think the two Burton movies I would put over Forever, but I do like, there's a lot of good Batman movies, but yeah, like, even though 9th best does sound like a diss, it's not. Batman Forever good. KW says, my younger brother and I saw this baked out of our minds in the theater 3 years after our dad's death, and the ending was the catharsis we needed. To this day, my favorite theater experience. I mean, damn. I would not have guessed that Speed Racer would be the movie. Well, Speed Racer, while baked out of your mind, would be the movie to give you that kind of emotional catharsis. But hey, movies are magical, especially Speed Racer. I love hearing this. Great comment. Vic Tomata says, I have work in the morning, but 1 hour and 3 minutes of Patrick talking about Speed Racer. Let's go. That is the attitude that I want to see. Fuck work, fuck sleep, watch my videos. Be responsible. Like, the videos aren't going anywhere. There's really no rush. You can watch them whenever, but I do appreciate it. C. Cannon says, fans of nostalgic media do not want faithful adaptations. They are lying if they say they do. What they want is gritty, realistic adaptations that let them pretend that the kids' media they're enjoying was made for adults all along. I fully agree with that statement, and I feel like I've said versions of it before. I definitely talked about that back in, oh my god, was it like late 2020 when we did the R-rated superhero movies video, where I just remember going through like finding like so many comments online that like, especially like on Twitter, that were really sincerely arguing that like, you know, superheroes were never intended for children, or like Star Wars was not originally intended for children. Kind of like, remember all those weirdos who were trying to argue years ago that Ghostbusters was not a comedy, that it was like a supernatural horror thriller that happened to have some jokes? People are so weird. 12 Isaac says, well, this isn't a nice one. Dogwater movies getting reappraised as the second coming of sliced bread is such a weird trend. I have always been appraising Speed Racer the same way. I'm not reappraising anything. I've been appraising it like this for 17 years, so I don't know what you're talking about. Moving on. HP Spacecraft says, as someone with ADHD, I love depictions like this. The Miss Marvel show had some moments like it early on, with Kamala's interactions with her guidance counselor, and I appreciated it. Felt like the person making it actually had some experience with the disorder, or at the very least spoke to someone with the disorder. I mean, that's great to hear. I, as far as I'm aware, don't have ADHD. I mean, it's never been diagnosed, but like, I don't know, anything's possible. So yeah, I'm not really speaking from experience. I'm just like from knowing enough people who have been diagnosed with it and just hearing about their experience. I felt like I could fairly accurately say that's what they're doing here in this movie. But there you go. Another great thing about Speed Racer. It accurately depicts a disability. It's just the best movie. Sumisu says, groin punch, you know what you did. What happens in Vegas is a banger. I'm guessing that that's a quote from a part in What Happens in Vegas. I did not expect a comment like this, especially from someone with an anime avatar. And you wrote it, but by saying it out loud, am I the first person to ever say the words What Happens in Vegas is a banger out loud? Do I have to watch What Happens in Vegas? Truly a movie that I have never heard anyone mention since 2008, other than, I guess maybe it's probably popped up on like a box office game on blank check, but truly I have never heard a person like say they have seen the movie or mention or reference anything about it. I think it's unlikely that I need to watch it, but I don't know. Let me know if it is a masterpiece in need of rediscovery. I will say, to that grumpy guy before, if we do suddenly see this like mass reappraisal of What Happens in Vegas, then I think he'll have a point. Something like Speed Racer, a really wild, ambitious, formal swing from auteur directors, like those will always be reappraised. Like, what's that guy talking about? Come on. Branko Berkson says, after first watching this on Nebula, it got me thinking that while this movie was underappreciated in its time, the Spider-Verse took the same strategies and succeeded. In part, that's due to the audience's taste changing, but also animation can get away with sensory overload more easily. The simpler design of the characters makes it faster and more convenient for the audience to read the context of the characters' actions and what they're feeling. Not to mention, physics-defying antics seem more believable while retaining emotional resonance. Speed Racer was definitely a trailblazer, but the animated projects of today, especially the Spider-Verse, can sprint, leap, and parkour, while Speed Racer could just walk. I'm gonna push back against this a bit, because, again, like literally having just rewatched Speed Racer in a movie theater yesterday, I still think in many ways what it is doing is more like aggressively experimental than the Spider-Verse movies. The final lap of Speed Racer is really just like as out there visually as any like mainstream blockbuster has ever gotten. I think in terms of the animation thing, I think, well, first of all, Spider-Man is inherently just a more popular, appealing IP than Speed Racer is. A Spider-Man movie was just always going to make more money and attract more people, and just people are more interested in it. But as far as the animation part goes, I think it's just easier for audiences to accept like stylization in animation when animation is just inherently like it's all synthetic, it's all created, then like an ostensibly live action movie that also looks like a cartoon, because then you have this weird like, you know, disconnect that throws some people where it's like there are real human beings, but then the rest of it looks like this wacky cartoon, while, you know, Spider-Verse can be all wacky cartoon. So it's just easier to accept it all. So I'm really not saying one is better than the other. I love the Spider-Verse movies. I love Speed Racer. I think there are some commonalities just in terms of like their visual stylization and experimentation. But yeah, I think it's no surprise that audiences, you know, more readily embraced Spider-Verse than Speed Racer. And also they came out in a different time when audiences' tastes had evolved a little bit. But I still think Speed Racer would have been a little bit of a hard sell at any point just because of, you know, its weird blending of live action and cartooniness. And I do think Speed Racer is doing more interesting stuff than you're giving it credit for. I would not consider it walking while Spider-Verse is parkouring over it. Like, come on. Show some respect. Laurianne says, you know, it took me a while to fully appreciate this film, but nowadays I am obsessed, and it is one of my favorite films ever. Yes, love hearing that. I had a similar relationship to the Matrix sequels, in fact. I liked watching the trilogy, it was cool, but it's only nowadays that not only is it an important piece of cinema for me, but that I can say with confidence, and despite everybody saying otherwise, the Matrix sequels are great, actually, and I favor even Reloaded in many aspects, which my ADHD brain wants me to dissect right now, but I shouldn't lol. I mean, the Matrix sequels are their own complicated conversation. I made the video about them, oh my god, like 6 years ago? How has it been that long? But yeah, like I have talked about those. I actually fairly recently saw Revolutions in a theater on 35. It looked great. I still have issues with Reloaded and Revolutions, despite being like overall positive toward them. I wish I could like, you know, embrace them in a full-bodied hug and love them like I love the first one, but I'll always be a little frustrated by like, I think the gap between ambition and execution, but I love so many things about them, and I love the overall story that they're trying to tell. But yeah, that's really for me, to just, you know, be like grappling with that forever. But look, just like I love people reappraising Speed Racer and rediscovering it, I love hearing people, you know, respect and celebrate the Matrix sequels, because, again, especially compared to the last 20 years of American blockbusters, they are so much more interesting and in many ways so much better than most of what we've got. Mark Markod says, I'm pretty sure they made up more than enough money with kids' toys. I swear all the boys bought Hot Wheels that year. I don't know. Is that like public information? Because like they made a lot of Speed Racer merchandise, but how much of it did they sell? There were Speed Racer Lego sets. Like, did those sell out? Were those popular? I'm skeptical. I am. Like, I have a feeling that maybe there's a lot of Speed Racer toys like filling landfills out there somewhere, which is sad. Also, I would like a Speed Racer Lego set. Like, they made a Mach 5 Lego set, and I would like it. I did actually, like, when we were developing the video, I did look up, like, oh, how much would, like, a Speed Racer Lego set on eBay cost? Could I work that into the video? And I was like, Jesus Christ, $500? I'm not paying that. So I don't know, if anyone just has one laying around that they don't want, send it to the P.O. box. That would be cool. Do not spend $500 on it, though. That's unnecessary. Rusty says, will Megalopolis age the same way as Speed Racer? That is a good question. I will say, I remember when I watched Megalopolis for the first time, I did think about Speed Racer sometimes, just like visually similar kinds of things it was doing. But as much as I am generally positive toward Megalopolis, as in, like, I'm really happy that it exists and that Francis made it. I do not feel like it is as good as Speed Racer, or I don't think it's anywhere near as good as Speed Racer. It's a movie where I just think a lot of it, like, does not work, but it's really interesting. While Speed Racer, right away, I was like, this is great. That said, I think Megalopolis is a movie that we will be discussing for many years to come, and I mean, I gotta watch it again at some point. And so, look, I know people who love it and think it's a masterpiece. I don't know if it'll age quite the same way as Speed Racer, but I think it's going to be reappraised quite a bit as time goes on. But we'll see. Okay, Mr. Johnny Pepper says, I love the editing, or whatever you might call it. The first Hulk movie was kind of like that, but maybe not to the extreme. I wish more movies would do stuff like that. I mean, yeah, that was a time in the 2000s where you had major, brilliant auteur directors taking big formal swings on big blockbuster movies and trying some crazy stuff with the editing. And no one's really been doing that since. Yeah, I mean, obviously Ang Lee's Hulk is a crazy looking movie. That's doing some really wild stuff. Yeah, I would love to see people attempt stuff like that again. I really do. And we're just not seeing it. Come on, guys. And Northerly K says, thank you, Emma. What a wonderful reflection on Val Kilmer. Yes, we all loved Emma's tribute to Val. That was really beautiful. The response to it was so nice. And yeah, we here at the channel, we all miss Val. One of the greats. And I'm glad that so many people have come to celebrate Val because of Emma's enthusiasm. We love to see people watching Kilms. And also, I'm just realizing I'm wearing a shirt with a Kilm. I'm wearing my Heat shirt. Yeah. Val is on the back of the shirt. Look at that. How about that? I did not do this deliberately. Wow, well, that's fun. Okay, that is the end of the comments from the YouTube comment section. And so now we jump over to the questions from the Ask Patrick channel in our Discord server. I am legally required to say this in every episode. So we have a Discord server, which is available exclusively to members of the Patreon. I think it's worth signing up for the Patreon anyway, because it directly supports this channel and helps us pay everyone who works on the videos, and you can get your name in the credits of the videos, but also you get access to the Discord server where, it's just a nice group of people. We talk about movies and stuff. And there's an Ask Patrick channel where you can ask questions, and if they pertain to the latest video, I will answer them in these videos. And if they're not about the latest video, if they're about just like any random thing, I will still answer them just in text in Discord. So anyway, let's see what we've got first. Okay, Nick Thornley says, Speed Racer question. Hi Patrick, hi Emma, hi Elliot, longtime watcher, first time commenter. The first thing I saw by you, Patrick, was the Wes Anderson X-Men piece back in the day, but the piece that made me actively subscribe to your channel was Why Do We Care If Movies Are Realistic?, which also spoke to some of the virtues of Speed Racer. A video from I think 2017. Wow. I have not watched it in a long time. I felt I'd found a kindred spirit then, in our shared appreciation of that banger, and it made my day then and now. So my question is, I also went to see this on opening weekend and loved it, despite everyone with me that day hating it. What is your personal story on seeing it for the first time? Did you have anyone else around you love it? Or was it, like me, a solo appreciation? Okay, I'll jump right in here. Speed Racer, this was like near the end of my sophomore year of college at Oberlin in Ohio. And I was like dead set on seeing Speed Racer. I was excited, even if I was kind of nervous because, the reviews were generally not good. But some critics that I trusted had liked it. And I went to see it with my friends Kendra, who, until she moved to LA, would work on this channel and would pop up in videos sometimes. Oh, I mean, in the Wes Anderson X-Men, she is Storm, and she made the costumes. Kendra and my roommate Ben, and I'm trying to remember, was my friend Jake with us? Not Jake Torpy, different Jake. I can't remember if Jake was there. Jake, if you're watching this, I'm really sorry if I can't remember. It was 17 years ago. And also, my sister Mary was there because my family was in town because my dad went to the same college that I did, and also Mary would then go to that college starting in the fall, so 3 of us went to Oberlin. But my dad was there for his alumni lacrosse game, which he would come to every year, and so the family was there, and so Mary came with us. And also, Mary had just gotten into Oberlin, so she would be starting there in the fall. And so we all went to see it. It was not a full theater. It was maybe half full at most. I remember sitting behind us was a family that had a baby that kept crying for a lot of the movie. And at one point, Kendra turned back and said, "Can you please take your baby outside?" And they went, "Shut up and watch the movie. It's not bothering anybody." It was bothering us. And anyway, we all thought it was great. We all went back to campus being like, "Guys, Speed Racer was awesome." And I remember it's like oh my God. It's a FaceTime call from my mom and my sister. Oh my God.
I don't know, can you see her?
Hi, Francine.
There's your sister.
Oh my God. Mary, you look so good. Bye, bye.
Bye.
Okay, that was fun. That was, my mom FaceTimed me while she is, my sister is trying on wedding dresses. And so, yeah, so she and the bridesmaids are all there. And yeah, they FaceTimed me so I could see a couple dresses, give some thoughts. She looks great. Oh yeah, and I was just talking about Mary anyway in the story. And so yeah, we all thought the movie was great, and we went back to campus, and I had some friends who, like, when they saw the reviews were bad, they were like, "I'm not gonna go. I heard it was bad." And then we were like, "You guys were wrong. You made a mistake. It's awesome." But what I also remember really clearly is, like, obviously, the climax of Speed Racer is so intense, and it has the swirling checkered flag, truly like a relentless assault on your eyeballs. And back in 2008, we'd never seen anything like that before. And I remember walking out of the cinema into the lobby of the movie theater, and the floor of the lobby was red and white, just checked tile. And I remember looking at the floor and getting dizzy because it was just like, it was like the climax kept going after the movie was over. It was wild. What a time. I'll never forget it. And okay, there's more to the question or the comment. Also, though that older video is good, your and your team's craft has exponentially improved. Your work is so good and one of the bright spots of the movie video essay verse. Thank you so much. It is really good to hear that because, man, if I hadn't gotten better in 8 years, that would be depressing. But yeah, and also, thank you forever for the Willems Amelie Speed Racer mashup coda. It is something I'm very, very happy exists. Thank you so much. That little part with me as a little kid in the Speed Racer editing, it was a thing when we were approaching this where I was I want to do something in there to capture or imitate or homage the Speed Racer visual style, but I'm just if I really try to do it, this video just could take months because it would just be so complicated to shoot and everything. I thought about even do I shoot it on 2 cameras, one in profile, so then I can have me wiping across more with multiple angles of me saying the same stuff. And I was just that would kill me if I tried to do that. So the compromise was just that one part, but I thought it was fun. I'm glad you liked it too. Next comment. Sebastian says, for the Speed Racer video, considering how much it has since been reappraised by modern audiences, do you believe that it has something to do with our collective shorter attention spans? Many would argue that would be a detriment for movies, but I feel like this and Baz Luhrmann's Moulin Rouge are beloved now due to their energetic energy and feeling of it being a cartoon in the best way possible. Well, in regards to Moulin Rouge, that was a huge hit when it came out. It got a Best Picture Oscar nomination. That was just a hit. everyone liked that at the time. So that didn't need to be reappraised like Speed Racer. And yeah, and there have been like fast cut, like energetic movies for a long time. You know, like the 90s, you got like Run Lola Run and Train Spotting and stuff like that. And obviously critics had been complaining about quote unquote MTV style editing since the 80s. But with Speed Racer, I mean, just like I quoted in the video that Scott Tobias piece, where he like revisited the movie like 15 years later and was just like, oh yeah, my eyes have just adjusted to be able to like take this kind of thing in now in a way that they like weren't really able to back then. So yeah, I do think years and years of like YouTube and TikTok and just like, you know, super fast storytelling, it did just adjust people's brains and made people, you know, just like more ready for it now. Again, the Wachowskis just ahead of the curve. Cue says, hey Patrick, loved the Speed Racer video and seeing your points on it evolve from the old realism in movies video to the mentions in Dick Tracy to now. In regards to audiences becoming more open to heavy stylization in movies, I think you can track that in recent movie musicals. A lot of digital ink has been spilled talking about the unfortunate trend of forcing grounded realism into musicals, and I think we're finally on the other side of that. For my problems with some of John M. Chu's choices for In the Heights, the way that the musical numbers were shot and how he used both the cinematic tools of movies and language of musicals to enhance one another was breathtaking. Yeah, I would agree. I really like In the Heights, and I think the, you know, more like abstract, like not literal staging of a lot of those musical numbers is just really refreshing to see in a big movie because, you know, literalism has been like the operating principle of so much of just mainstream cinema for so long. And granted, In the Heights was not a hit, but still, it was like a, you know, a mainstream movie with like a good budget. I will say, you know, I do wish that like, you know, John Chu had not insisted on like shooting Wicked in a way where the premise is like it's all lit with like natural light and everything is going to be like backlit by the sun, and there I'm just like, no, just please make it look more stylized, like just like have it look nice, not like this. Like, and again, I liked Wicked Part 1. I just don't like the way it mostly looks, especially for like, you know, exterior day scenes. But yeah, it is that funny thing where in the right movies, audiences have proven that they are willing to accept stylization. It's like, you know, I know the movie became this weird kind of like cultural lightning rod where like everyone still debates all the time, but like La La Land was a big hit. It was like not a big budget movie, but it was like a genuine mainstream hit. And that is a very stylized movie that has like, you know, musical numbers that are not meant to be taken literally, and people rolled with it. And so granted, with musicals, just from like the very like form of them, like it's like if you're okay with people bursting into song to express their feelings, then I guess you're okay with like, you know, the visuals then also being more stylized. But yeah, musicals, just like animated movies, are kind of like good things to point out where it's like, hey, audiences are cool with these. Now it's just a matter of like, you know, bringing that kind of stylization into like other genres. But I mean, look, you know, you look at the big oneer at the center of Sinners, which is very much not literal, and everyone loves that movie. And so yeah, it's just one of those things where like audiences aren't gonna like change their minds overnight, but in the right circumstances, they are proving that they are increasingly open to stuff like this. And I like that. And finally, our final question of the whole video, wow, I can't believe we're at the end, is from my favorite username to say, Crantastic, who says, Patrick, I really, really want to like Speed Racer, but there's two flaws that keep holding the movie back for me. Number one, the kid and Chim Chim are really obnoxious to me instead of being funny or adorable. And number two, at 135 minutes, I feel the movie overstays its welcome and needs at least 30 minutes cut. Please convince me why I am wrong. No. I spent a month making an hour-long video about why I think the movie is great, presenting my argument, and I think I did the work. And if that's not enough for you, then I don't know what to tell you. I can't sit here arguing with individual people about specific points in the movie. I'm done. And that is all. I like Spritle and Chim Chim. I think they're funny. I cannot imagine saying a monkey should not be in a movie. I don't think it needs 30 minutes cut. If you do, that's fine. It's okay if you disagree with me. But yeah, I have said my piece on Speed Racer, and I must move on with my life now. And that's it. And so, right now, sadly we have no physical mail to open. No wedding invitations to open. If you haven't seen the previous Replies episode, we got some of the best mail ever. So go watch that. So for now, this is another Patrick Replies in the books. We are getting closer to being caught up. One day we'll be there. And so yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching the videos, leaving lovely comments and questions. Buy Train Movies mugs and plush novels and all of this stuff. And I will see you in, and I won't see you, but you'll see me in the next one. Bye.